Hello, welcome to Beyond the Boundary. My name is Josh. It's fantastic to have you again for round 12 this week. As always, I've got Nick to my right. How are you, Nick?
I'm a bit flat after Thursday night, but okay.
I'd be flat too. And Vinay, on my left, how are you, mate?
I'm doing quite well, Josh. I'm very excited. I'm going to get an absolute roasting today, and although you might think that it's odd for me to be excited, I feel like I had it coming. So
it's good he's prepared for it anyway.
Yeah. I'm ready for it.
Yeah. Especially since you said Richmond were the most surest thing in the world.
Well, you know it's all fair game with me, Josh. You know it's all fair game. It's all fair game.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
The tips, boys.
The tips, boys.
Nick, can you take us through, please?
Josh is pretty excited about this part of the show. Vinay and I got 5 out of 9 this week. Josh got 7, which he's pretty happy about. He's only 1 behind now, as you can see on your screen now. So he's building. Vinay's still 4 behind.
I think I need to stop making such dangerous tips, boys.
He was searching the games this week for an upset that he could pick.
I'm just
loves to do it.
I love the underdog. I love him. And it's not just because I go for West Coast. But I do like the underdog, but I'm going to have to take the conservative route from here on forth.
Well, actually you're not, because if you want to get back in the game, you're going to have to tip some more outsiders.
I'm going to bank on you two to tip the outsiders.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Nick, kick us off.
First game of the round, it's Geelong versus Carlton, Friday night at Etihad Stadium. Last time these two teams met, it was Geelong by 16 points. What do you reckon, guys?
Your boys were horrible.
They were pretty disappointing. Sydney.
This is what happened, right? Sydney played one of their best games of the year.
Yep.
Geelong played one of their worst. And when that happens,
I think the stars align for an absolute smashing.
The result speaks for itself.
Let me say this though, guys. Every club has a bad game.
Yep.
At some stage in the year, a club will have a bad game. That's why it's so difficult for a team, no matter how dominant they are, to go undefeated in a season.
Every team's already had a bad game this year already.
Exactly. Yeah, and we're barely halfway through. So we're exactly halfway through. So, I think Geelong just had a bad day. It's expected, even of champion sides like Geelong. And as you mentioned, Sydney, they're in some form.
There's 2 big issues I saw for Geelong. Sydney we'll get into later. They're absolutely exceptional, taking no credit away from them. The issues I see for Geelong are a lack of inside mids, which isn't so much an injury thing as it's just like a list problem. That's a deficiency in the list. We got absolutely smashed around the ball. We just could not compete there with the likes of Kieran Jack, Hanbury, Kennedy, who's in absolutely brilliant form.
McLean, Bird.
It's just, and it was the same story against
Bird and McLean are more outside.
Yeah, but it was the same story against Fremantle a couple of weeks ago. We had the exact same problem. We got smashed around a contested ball. I think the biggest problem on the weekend was the half back line. Lonergan being out sort of created like a flow-on effect where every player behind the centre just had to move back to just cover, coming up against the tallest and best tall forwards in the competition. Rivers had to play as a true fullback. Blitzars had to go down in defence. No Enright on half back. So we just had no option to stop that rebounding run of Sydney, and we really, really struggled in that area.
I think he makes a good valid point. To be honest, Enright's just been a classy player his entire career.
Yeah.
Lonergan has done the job on Buddy countless times.
He does his job.
Buddy kicked 4 goals. Tippy kicked 5 as well. So,
and a similarity I saw with this loss was with the Port Adelaide loss when Mackie missed that one. That's another half-back flanker we missed. And the same thing, we just couldn't stop that rebounding run. We just had no option. There's just no depth there for us at the moment. We do have some young players coming through in that position, but they're yet to make their debut, so they couldn't really step up against who I think is the best team in the competition at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Have to agree with that.
You have to say that the best team in the competition seems to change almost every 2 weeks.
It does.
At the start of the season it was Fremantle, then it was Hawthorn, then Geelong beat Hawthorn and it was Geelong, and then Port beat Geelong and it was Port, and now it's Sydney. So, it's a bit of a...
Sydney play Port Adelaide next week, and that's going to be an absolute ripper.
Yep.
Yes. Absolute ripper.
It will.
Just before we move on to Carlton, we do have a couple of players coming through the VFL at the moment. Shane Kirsten's returned from injury. We could really use another forward target at the moment. He kicked 2 goals against Collingwood in the VFL a couple of weeks ago, so he can come in for his debut. Darcy Lang, who we were talking about off air, he's been absolutely tearing it up in the VFL.
High draft pick.
Our first draft pick this year, so he's been best on ground a couple of times. And Brad Hartman's sort of a strange one. I've never really rated him myself, to be honest. He was picked 77, I think, a couple of years ago. And he's sort of a unique player, sort of a fast, small forward, could be an outside midfielder. So it could be interesting to see if one of those players comes in and makes their debut in the coming weeks.
On the other side of the coin, boys, we have the Carlton Football Club. They went over to the Gabba and they came back empty-handed. They were outrun. And it's interesting because they had more inside 50s, they had more of the ball, and they also laid more tackles, I'm pretty sure. So they were better in almost every key indicator They had more contested possessions as well, but they lost the game. What do you put that down to? Because a lot of people are saying Brisbane had one good quarter, and a lot of people are saying, maybe Carlton just, at the key moments in the game, they fell asleep. Tom Rockcliffe, I think, had 8 disposals in the last quarter alone, ended up with 36 and 13 tackles. Yep. So, what was the problem, Josh?
Gee, I say it a lot with a lot of teams, but Carlton and probably North Melbourne are the two teams that I feel have a lot of one-way runners.
Yes.
They run forward very quickly, but don't run back hard enough. Yeah. As much as I like Cade Simpson as a footballer, I think he's one of them.
Yeah.
I love his attacking drive, but I think he could be better defensively.
Yeah.
Although I did call for him to be dropped probably about a month ago, he has really stepped up in Mark Murphy. He had a brilliant game on the weekend against the Lions.
Very impressive.
Very impressive, excuse me. But he, again, probably could be a bit better defensively. I think
Andrew Walker as well.
Andrew Walker, Chris Yarram,
yeah.
Jeff Garlett as well, tend to run the one way too often and not the other way as often. So I think that's their biggest key indicator that they need fixed.
I think as a team it shows a lack of composure to dominate Brisbane in so many areas but still get run over by 18th on the ladder.
You're right. Well, I have said in the past that Brisbane, I do rate them at the Gabba, to be honest. I do think that they can cause upsets. They almost did it to Essendon, and now they have done it to Carlton, who've beaten some good sides, mind you. They've beaten Adelaide and West Coast and the like, so they have gotten their fair share of wins. But it's back to square one for Carlton. You'd think that their finals hopes are a bit
pretty much gone.
Yeah, pretty much gone. Which is very heartbreaking if you're a Carlton fan.
Not so much if you're an Essendon fan.
Not so much if you're an Essendon fan, but to get over Adelaide, to get over all these other teams, and then to fall over to Brisbane, the team that's won one game, not even in Australia. It is a bit of a kick in the pants.
Yeah.
Who are we tipping, boys?
I'm actually tipping a big win for the Cats. They would be embarrassed after that performance. It doesn't happen often that they lose by that much, and I think they will really want to make a statement this week. I'm going to tip this by 64 points.
We get Lonergan and then right back?
I reckon they're both about 70-30, I'd say.
Both play. Geelong will have a big win. If they don't, Geelong will have a big win anyway, I think. Geelong will want to bounce back pretty hard. I'm tipping them by 52.
Alrighty, the conservative tip is Geelong, and then Vinay's tip will also be Geelong. So the Cats by about 40.
There's Vinay's expert opinion there.
Yes.
Hawthorn versus West Coast. It's Saturday afternoon at Aurora Stadium. Last time these two teams played, it was Hawthorn by 20 points. Guys, Vinay tipped Hawthorn by 180 points over the GWS.
And I also tipped West Coast to beat North.
So you fell 173 points short today.
Let me just say this.
That's taking the piss.
Let me just say this to you guys and to the people out there. The footy gods hate me right now. They absolutely hate me. I make a semi-plausible statement. And semi-plausible. So it's not completely...
It would have been the greatest margin in history.
No, what I'm saying is that it's not totally ridiculous for Hawthorn to beat... If Richmond could beat GWS by that much at Spotless, it's not so ridiculous to say that Hawthorn could completely monster them here in Melbourne.
No. It's also not so ridiculous to now observe that Hawthorn have maybe taken this game a little bit lightly, rested some players and possibly underestimated them a little bit.
Correct, yeah. So I do want to say that the footy gods hate me. I said that a player would not kick 11 goals for a long time. Plausible, all right, plausible. Does it the very next week. Okay, that's where...
I'm still loving that.
You still love that. I know people out there love it, but the very next week.
Yeah.
Come on.
And then the last time it happened twice in a season. And
then I've tipped Hawthorn by a monstrous margin. They win by less than 2 kicks. But I will say this thing, boys. A punter actually put $15,000 on Hawthorn to win by 2 goals or more.
No sympathy. No sympathy whatsoever.
He's a silly boy, that's who he is.
So all I'm trying to say there is that the footy gods clearly hate someone more than me, which fills me with reassurance. Moving to this game, West Coast, I'll quickly have my say on them.
Yep.
I was very disappointed about it. I posted it on the West Coast Football supporters page, and a lot of people agreed with the points I had to make.
Nice little plug there.
Nice little plug.
West Coast won the inside 50 count. The efficiency going forward is pathetic. West Coast do not deserve to play finals, and even if they do, they will make a very early exit the way they're playing right now.
I said last week, I saw some improvements in West
Correct.
Coast game, and I said if they keep playing like that, they will beat North.
Yeah.
And if they beat North, I think they'll play finals. They haven't beaten North. I think that with that would be their chance to get up above those teams like Adelaide,
Correct.
Essendon, and North Melbourne, who are sort of in that mix there.
Well, this was the perfect chance. This was their chance to beat a potential top 8 side at home and finally be able to say, look, we've actually beaten someone other than GWS, Melbourne and St Kilda.
Yeah.
And they didn't take that chance. And it was just the basic stuff. We saw Melbourne play Port Adelaide. Melbourne crowded the centre of the ground, the defenders, not allowing Port Adelaide to use the corridor because Port Adelaide love to do that. North Melbourne, to anyone who watches a North Melbourne game, will realise that they love to do that. They love to use the corridor. They love to go up the guts. No effort from West Coast at all.
It's
Nothing at all. Every single time, just coming right back into the centre of the ground. Del Santo's run was prodigious.
It's actually quite amazing that they won the inside 50 count but lost by 50-something points.
No, by 38 points.
Oh, 38 points, sorry.
Which is still a massive margin when you win the inside 50 count.
Yeah, it's huge.
Too many handballs. Often handballs were given to a player that was in a worse position.
Yeah.
There was one instance where Shuey, Gaff and Rosa were on the wing, handballing it to each other. Kennedy's one out with Scott Thompson, screaming, going, please just give me this chance to have a one-on-one. They keep handballing it. Eventually they kick it. And by that time, a North defender has dropped back and taken the third man up mark. And Kennedy's waving his arms in the air, looking at Shuey, pointing at him and going, what do I need to do for you guys? You know, it's very disappointing to see a player point out one of his teammates and give him, sort of a sign of disappointment. And Josh Kennedy's a very calm guy in general. So a lot of things need to be improved for West Coast. A lot of changes need to be made. I would suggest taking Scott Seward out of the tagging role. Someone on my page suggested that. And putting him as a proper inside mid.
Another little plug there.
No, I just didn't want to take credit for someone else's suggestion.
Yeah, fair enough.
So that's that. On the other side of the coin, boys, Hawthorn, what is with them? How did they only win by 7?
I'll tell you why. Because they are ravaged with injury at the moment.
Yes.
Absolutely
Yes.
ravaged with injury. Don't you even start.
Well, it bugs me. This is my pet hate, Josh.
Don't you even start.
Josh is ready to propose the defence for the Hawthorn Football Club, and the prosecutor over there is just itching.
Jordan Lewis is no guarantee to come back this week. He had scans today on his adductor.
Yeah.
That was a late withdrawal from him playing yesterday against Giants. Ben Stratton is also out with an adductor, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are saying it's only GWS. Okay, so plays West Coast this week.
Mm-hmm.
What if he doesn't get up there? People need to stop focusing on the one game. You got to focus on the next month or so, especially with adductor injuries. They can be lengthy types of injuries.
Okay.
Ben McAvoy is no guarantee to come back this week either. You got Sam Mitchell, who's still out as well. Brian Lake, Josh Gibson. These guys are premiership players who have built this team
Into what it is.
into what it is. I'm sure there's a few others I'm missing as well.
Yeah.
But people have got to stop focusing on the one game that these players are missing. Lewis could be out for another 3 to 4. Stratton could be out for another 3 to 4.
And wouldn't
Gibson-
that just be an absolute...
Gibson still has a good 6 to 7 weeks to come back from his pectoral muscle. Brian Lake is in no sight of playing recently.
I tell you what,
Sam Mitchell's still 2-3 weeks.
wouldn't that just be the ultimate arrow to the knee? If Lewis and Stratton don't get up this week, they have just lost possibly their best midfielder at the moment, Jordan Lewis.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of someone better than him at the moment, possibly Burgoyne.
Yeah.
But Lewis's effort against Port Adelaide, that's something only Jordan Lewis can do.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Ben Stratton, one of the, proper key defenders, him going down as well, Carl Cheney's already snuck his way back into the team and he might be a mainstay if this continues.
But I tell you what, they've got kids coming through
They
that
do.
can play a role and do it well. And you can only look back to yesterday and look at Angus Litherland's game.
Yep.
He played an absolutely brilliant game. Very, very unlucky to miss out on our team of the round.
Yeah. He was extremely good in that
He
last
was
quarter.
he's been in the system 4 years. He only made his debut this season.
That shows
So-
you how competitive it is. Yeah.
Absolutely, it shows the amount of depth they have.
Yeah.
That these players can come in. Mitch Hallinan has been very good this
Very
year. Taylor Duray is now playing senior football
Correct.
consistently.
Yeah. Brad Hill's been superb.
Brad
as well.
Hill, Jonathan Simpkin, since crossing from Geelong, has come in, played a role as an inside mid. So they've got the depth there. How far that depth goes is the question.
Taking those injuries we spoke about just then into account, I would actually suggest that there's a chance they could actually struggle to make top 4 come the end of the season. With the draw they have coming up, they've got West Coast and Carlton, which are two sort of the easier games. You'd expect them to have some decent wins there. But after that, these are the teams coming up. They've got Collingwood, Gold Coast, North at Etihad, Adelaide at Adelaide Oval, Sydney, and then they've got Western Bulldogs, Melbourne. But then the run home, they've got Fremantle at Patterson's, Geelong, and Collingwood. There's every game there. There's a chance they could drop it, and with the injuries they have, on top of some shaky form at times, I would say, from even the players, the best 22 players. Coming into the season, they could really struggle to actually get it done. Yes, these injuries have just come at the worst possible time for Hawthorn after some exceptional form early on.
And the thing is, they're not just small injuries; they're decent,
significant.
They're enormous. Like how often do you hear of a pectoral muscle tear?
Oh, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
A clean tear in the hamstring is Sam Mitchell. I mean, it doesn't happen that often. You get hamstring strains 3 to 4 weeks, calf strains.
But a clean tear
is 8 to 10 weeks, if not more.
Yeah.
Who are we tipping, boys?
I'm going to tip Hawthorn by 31 points this week. I think West Coast will be disappointed with their effort, and they'll really bring their A game. But I think Hawthorn will still be too good for them.
Yeah, I'll be tipping Hawthorn. As I keep saying every week, against quality opposition, West Coast just don't bring it.
Very true.
Don't bring it. And I don't like labelling teams this, but they're flat track bullies at the moment.
They are. Yep, I'll swallow that one. We are. We definitely are. Good call.
So Hawthorn by 40.
They definitely are. Boys, you know what I'm thinking right now?
No, you're not.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
You give him a chance to.
Hear me out, all right? Okay. Hear my case. I'll be brief. I'll be quick, all right?
This is why he's behind in them.
No, but hear me. No, I'm not saying I'm tipping West Coast. All I said is, you know what I'm thinking.
What is 30 seconds?
All right, okay, 30 seconds, okay? If Jordan Lewis doesn't play, their midfield, that's it. It's bare bones now. We're looking at the actual bones of that midfield.
Yeah.
Okay? They've got kids in that coming up against Pritis, Selwood, Maston, Gaff and Rosa and Shuey. Okay? West Coast, I've stressed, have an excellent list. They have a very, very good list. Segler's going to go up against Cox and Nat Newey for the entire game. Yeah. Roughhead is in terrible form at the moment. He could only manage a couple against GWS. And that was against a man returning from an injury in his first game. Eric McKenzie has been one of the best key to position defenders in weeks. Adam Simpson worked very closely with Al Clarkson at Hawthorn. He knows exactly what Hawthorn do. He knows how they work.
You got 10 seconds.
And Brendan Bolton, I don't know. It just seems to me that if Al Clarkson was sitting in that seat, Hawthorn may play a little bit better. And another thing I wanted to say, Hawthorn played at Brisbane at Aurora in round 1, and they didn't win as comfortably as you'd expect them to. So I don't accept this argument that
this game also at Aurora is these points.
Yes.
Yeah, but Hawthorn won that game by 50 points.
But that was
early on.
The fourth quarter. They kicked like 6 for most part of the game. Brisbane are kids, so they're going to get tired. But what I'm saying is, Aurora's not a fortress like many would suggest.
Who's your tip?
If Lewis and Stratton don't play,
really?
Look, West Coast is fuming at the moment. They came to the MCG and they played extremely well. They like travelling.
Longest 30
and
seconds.
they're fuming.
It is. Let me just say, they've still got Burgoyne, still got Sewell, still got Shields, still got Hill, still got
Simpkin. But what I'm saying is, these players came up against GWS and GWS matched them. For most of the game in Melbourne.
So if Lewis and Stratton don't play,
I'm tipping the Eagles. If Lewis and Stratton don't play, I'm tipping the Eagles.
And otherwise, every right to do that.
And
before we move on,
and if one of them plays, I feel that would be enough because that's enough experience. Both of them are premiership players. If one of them plays, Hawthorn.
Before we move on, best wishes to Al Clarkson. That is a serious syndrome.
Guillain-Barré syndrome. It is an inflammation of the nerve surrounding the spinal cord.
Absolutely. I know he probably doesn't watch the show, but someone at Hawthorn
he probably does.
Does it?
Yeah.
But anyway, Al, best wishes, mate. It's going to be a long recovery. I'm hearing he may not get back this year at all. So
best of luck to him.
Yeah, best of luck. Best wishes from us.
Who are you tipping, Josh?
I said Hawthorn by 40.
You said Hawthorn by 40?
I did.
Have I already tipped? I can't remember.
Yeah,
it was that long ago. That 30
Hawthorn
seconds from today. Port Adelaide versus St Kilda. It's Saturday afternoon at Adelaide Oval. Last time these two teams played, it was Port Adelaide by 5 points.
Round 1 of last year they played, I believe.
A little while ago.
Maybe.
I'll try and keep this under a minute. I'm sorry, Port Adelaide and St Kilda fans, but it is at Adelaide Oval.
No, we won't.
And
we'll be alright.
You reckon St Kilda has something to...
No, we won't keep it under a minute.
So you don't think that this is a open and shut?
Oh, it is.
It is?
But we don't just dismiss it.
Alright.
We still analyse.
I admire that.
Just spent 6 hours on Hawthorn West Coast.
True.
Port Adelaide boys, they're 2 games clear.
Correct.
I only thought they were 1, but
they are 2 games clear.
Looking at the run sheet afterwards, they are 2 games clear. So well done, Nick.
There we go.
St Kilda's just a rollercoaster team.
Are they? They've lost their last 5 by an average of 60.5.
But, they turned up against Essendon and they beat Adelaide.
That was their last win.
Yes.
They beat Adelaide.
They did beat
Adelaide. There's lots of downhill.
Adelaide belted... Who did St Kilda beat? They beat
us.
Yes, that's it. They beat
There's
you
lots of
guys,
downhill on this roller coaster of theirs.
Correct. Yes, but no chance at Adelaide Oval. Port Adelaide. Yep, they got taken to the. They got challenged by Melbourne.
Yep.
Who played a very clever game style and cut off Port Adelaide's run. Jared Pollock had 10 disposals for the entire game, but I don't think St Kilda has the list or the. I'm not sure, just the game plan to nullify this Port team in front of 40 to 50,000 at Adelaide Oval.
We say it every week. That stadium is fantastic.
Oh, Josh is the stadion's biggest fan.
If you put Hawthorn in the stadium, he'd have everything he needs. Hawthorn v Essendon at Adelaide Oval, and Josh Rickard would just be sitting in
The Telecaster
just drooling. He'd have a bib.
I'll tell you what Port Adelaide did on Saturday against Melbourne.
What did they do against Melbourne on Saturday?
They won ugly.
They won ugly.
They did what they had to do to get the 4 points, and that's what they did.
Yep.
They did what they had to do to get the 4 points, and that's what they did.
They won ugly.
They did, you're right, they did. And Ken Hinkley alluded to that in his post-game conference, that he wasn't exactly happy with the way they played. Travis Boak was interviewed after the game, who again, best on ground.
Yes.
He said that he wasn't happy. They got a big spray from Ken Hinkley at half-time. Understandably, Chad Wingard got
nasty knock.
He's got a knee to the back of the head from Jay Schultz.
Whoops.
Just
went
quickly,
down like a bag of dirt.
Just quickly, did either of you see that hit in the Foxtel Cup? Brent
Oh,
College.
that was
And
huge.
Scott
I just
Lycett.
said
Oh, my goodness.
How did he only get a mild concussion?
very, very lucky. He was.
Watch, if you haven't seen that, go and watch that. Brent College's.
We'll put a link in the
Yeah.
description. Nick will do that.
But it is absolutely horrifying. It's not.
I'll
for,
send you the link.
It's not for people that are easily
I think I need a pay rise.
turned in the stomach, shall we say?
St Kilda, on the other hand.
I eat Indian food quite a lot, so that's not a problem for me.
St Kilda boys. Jack Nunes. I want to touch on him. I touched on him a bit last week. He was very good again. The only problem with Jack, I love the way he takes the ball. He gathers the ball really well. He's a ball magnet. The only problem is his disposal efficiency.
Which is a problem with all youngsters who are very good at gathering the ball.
Absolutely.
Joe Watson had that problem,
Toby
Green still has that problem, so...
Well, he's not playing at the moment.
Yes, but he will have the problem when he returns. So.
Absolutely, but Jack Nunes has been very, very good. Yes. There's another one I want to praise as well, who's just come into the side 2 weeks ago.
Who's this man? Cameron Shenton.
Yes, the Panther. The Panther.
Score 1 for Vinay.
3 points.
Woo! He is a very, very good run and carry player. He has been absolutely brilliant.
Yep.
And, Jimmy Webster was brought in for that role at the start of the year. Jaron Geary's injured now, I believe. Yes. And James Gwilt has been dropped from the side. Injured too, okay. So there we go. They're lacking some run and carry defenders. Sean Dempster's been tried in that role, but I think he plays more a Cal Hooker kind of role. I think he's up there in the intercept mark count.
Yeah.
So they've got Cameron Shenton, and he's doing an excellent job.
The thing that's really hurting St Kilda is the amount of injuries they've got. They've got one of the biggest injury lists in the competition. And for a young side rebuilding, it's very, very hard.
It really hurts.
I was maybe a little harsh given the who's not today.
To St Kilda.
But it's their last 5 games by 60.5 points in average losing margin.
Yes, of course. Two of those have been probably inflated. This week, or last week against Collingwood, which was at 86 points, and that 145 points against Hawthorn. Yeah. It's probably inflated a little bit. However, still they've been pretty poor. They've still got some talent on the ground. Nick Rewalt continues to impress me.
Jack Stephen.
Luke Dunstan he's
a very good player.
He's going to be right up there
be a gun
in the rising star at the end of the year. But they're gonna struggle for the rest of the year, to be honest.
Cannot see them winning. Hamish Hartler returns for the Port Adelaide Football Club. He served his 1 week suspension. Was very disappointed about that. He tweeted about it. Ken Hinkley openly said that he was very disappointed. Yep. He's going to be back, and he's going to be wanting to really have an impact in this game in front of home crowd.
Who are you tipping?
I've gone Port Adelaide by 72 points. I think it will be another big loss for St Kilda, unfortunately.
I'm going to go Port Adelaide by about 80 points as well, boys.
Yeah, Port by... I'd be surprised if they didn't push that 100-point barrier here. So
me too.
87 points for me.
Western Bulldogs versus Brisbane.
Yes.
Saturday night at Etihad Stadium.
Hands.
Last time these two teams played, it was Brisbane by 7 points.
I was being sarcastic.
Vinay's going to be out this game. It's his favourite 2 teams in the competition.
Well, both these teams do have players that I really, really like, and you boys know that.
Tom Liberatore and Tom Rockcliffe.
We don't hear enough about them.
I love them. I absolutely love them, but I know the Bulldogs I do really like. But going into the actual game, the Western Bulldogs, had a pretty good game against Fremantle. I thought they were unlucky to lose by more than 6 goals because for the most part of the game, they were extremely competitive. Yeah. They were smashing them in the inside 50 count. At one stage in the first quarter, I think it was 11 inside 50s to 3. So they were all over them. They just could not find an avenue to goal, which has been their problem since day one. Stuart Cranberry put in another subpar performance. Could not really impact the scoreboard.
Kicked the one goal.
Yep, Luke McFarlane kept him under wraps very, very nicely.
And that's keeping with the pattern we're seeing of against the good sides, he can't stand up.
Yep.
Whereas against the lesser sides like Brisbane this week, he kicks bags of 4 and 5.
Correct. Which could work to their favour, to be honest. Maybe that's what he needs, a confidence boost against one of the lower sides.
Yep.
But then midfield, the Western Bulldogs, I will go as far to say they have one of the best midfields in the comp.
And that's considering that
I would definitely say top 5. It is unbelievable. Matthew Boyd, Ryan Griffin, Tom Liberatore. And then they've got Luke Dalhouse rotating in and out.
Adam Cooney.
They've got an absolutely...
Considering Griffin is completely nullified almost every single week this season.
Yeah.
It's very impressive to see the Tom Liberatore and the Matthew Boyd and Luke Dalhouse, as you said, stepping up and having some great performances for them.
Well, Tom Liberatore, his teammates had quite a lot to say about him if you watch the telecast of the match that they played. Every single one of them think he will be an eventual Brownlow winner. They all feel that he will win a Brownlow at some stage. His capacity, his tackling, his clearance, it's unbelievable. He had 31 disposals, 9 tackles, 8 clearances, something like that. He's had 42 tackles in 4 weeks. And that's an average of 10.5 tackles a week. So he's in and under and he's working.
Mathematician, Vinay. You know what Tom Liberatore has done?
What has he done?
He's earned the respect back from his teammates. It was only 2 years ago where he had that off-field incident where he was caught with drugs.
Yep.
And he's earned the respect back. He said he had the last 4 weeks off for the season, I think. He was told to go get a job. Don't come back to the club. We don't want you here. We want you to get yourself back on track. He's got the respect back of his teammates. He's worked very, very hard on his game.
Yep.
And it's a massive turnaround from that point because he was down in the dumps.
Yep.
I mean, literally, he was found on the street, passed out. So he's come a very long way and he's certainly earned the respect back of his teammates and certainly of the general public as well with the way he's been playing.
Definitely. So that's kudos to Tom.
Brisbane Lions, guys.
Yep.
They just beat Carlton on the weekend. Got it done in the end.
They're such an exciting team to watch when they're winning because every single time they win, it's always in an extremely close match. Yep. So it's always, you think of the wins that they've had, in recent memory, Geelong or St Kilda or even against Carlton. It's always a nail biter. Yep. So it's fun watching them. Dane Zorko was sublime, I thought. He had 11 score involvements.
He's their barometer.
He is.
When he's up and going,
they're up.
Brisbane are up.
He had 23 disposals, 7 tackles, a couple of goals, 3 score assists. Tom Rockcliffe.
Stats man.
36 disposals and 13 tackles.
I always wonder where these
3 weeks.
He's had 43 tackles in 4 weeks. He's number 1 in the AFL for tackles per game. This man, I cannot believe. I saw a journalist on Twitter saying that it's unbelievable he doesn't get as much attention as he deserves.
I think what's more unbelievable is that you can remember these stats off the top of your head.
But he's averaging 29 disposals and 9 tackles a game.
Yeah.
He's an absolute monster, and I'm just gobsmacked that most people would not actually rank him in their top 10 in the AFL, where I definitely would.
Yeah.
Jack Redden, another one that goes under the radar, brilliant. John O'Brien. Tell you what, Josh, I know that you're one of his fans. I think we're all one of his fans.
Yeah.
3 goals I think he kicked. All were crucial. All were from difficult angles.
Yeah.
And it's great to see him doing it because people say, he's lost it, he's not in his prime. But what do you say to that, Josh? He kicks some pretty good goals.
John O'Brien, when he first came into the competition, he was one of the most hated players in the competition. Now, I go to far as say he's one of the most liked.
Yeah.
He's a genuine Aussie bloke. He plays footy to the best of his ability. And the way he played against Carlton on Saturday night was just fantastic to see. And some of the goals he kicked just as clean as you could kick them. Half goal post height, 45 metres out. Yeah. Just a brilliant sight.
He's a brilliant footballer.
Who are we tipping, guys?
One other thing.
I
was really happy for debutant Zach O'Brien.
Oh, yeah. Excellent.
For the Brisbane Lions. Came on as a sub replacing Trent West. He played in the VFL side at Essendon last year, so I saw him a lot.
Yeah.
And he deserves every opportunity he gets.
Unbelievable. I was tracking his progress in the NEAFL for Brisbane. He has been absolutely monstrous.
He's a ball magnet.
He is. He's had over 30 disposals on 6 different occasions. He's a tackle machine as well. He likes to get forward and kick goals. I'd be surprised if he didn't get a good run in that Brisbane team.
I'd be surprised if he was named the sub this week.
You've just jogged my memory there. Trent West has done his ACL. Absolutely shattered for him.
He's just getting into form as well, and he was looking good.
His whole career, he's been second best to other players, and he got into that Geelong side. He won himself a premiership medal, and then he's just been shafted off to Brisbane, and now he's done his ACL. So absolutely shattered for him. Hoping he can come back to his best next season. Who are we tipping?
I'll be tipping the Bulldogs.
The Bullies.
Mainly because it's in Melbourne.
If it was at the Gabba, I might change my mind.
Yeah, so would I.
Yeah.
So would I. But the Bulldogs, 3-4 goals.
Yeah, I'm going to go the Bulldogs as well. About 2 goals, 3 goals.
Yeah, I'm tipping a close one as well. In Melbourne, I think the Bulldogs by 8 points, which leads us into GWS versus Essendon. It's Saturday night at Spotless Stadium. Last time these two teams played, it was Essendon by 39 points. Now, I reckon Josh is shaking in his boots.
Go, come on.
GWS.
Bring it on.
Getting over them this week. What do you reckon?
Rip into me. Give me my roast. Come on.
Now, I want you to put this in the bottom screen again.
What do we put in the bottom of the screen?
No, that I said that Essendon will definitely lose to Richmond. I didn't say that.
Put it in the corner.
The Essendon are probably one of the most overrated teams that I have seen playing AFL. Essendon fans still feel that Essendon will make the finals.
I think coming into
which
this
I think is a laughable joke if you think the Essendon can make the finals. If footy games were played for one half, Essendon would be premiers. Because they show up for a half, then they get their pillows out, they drink a warm glass of milk, and they go to sleep. That's what they do. And I think that Richmond will get them. I don't think Essendon have a chance in this game. I don't think they'll win this. I'm very, very sure of Richmond.
There you go.
Done. Beautiful. Vinay,
Yes, go.
I'll tell you, I wasn't all that confident going into Saturday night. I mean, I tipped Essendon by a point.
Yes.
That's
a reflection of your confidence.
Maybe had a little bit of rose-coloured glasses on.
Yes.
However,
I
could tell that game was won from the very first bounce.
Oh,
you know
from the
why?
first bounce. It was a good bounce, wasn't it?
The ruckman was missing, was he?
The very first bounce, you know why?
Why?
Jack Rewalt's that on the back of the square.
Aha.
Now, I'm not roasting you.
Okay.
I'm roasting Damien Hardwick.
Why are we talking about this in the Essendon preview? How about you save it for a little bit later?
Huh?
Maybe save it for the Richmond preview then. It's Damien Hardwick.
No, I want to hear his point now.
Yeah, listen to my point.
Okay, go.
All right.
Okay.
It's related to Essendon.
It is related.
Yes.
He went defensive from the very first beginning, from the very first bounce. Just played straight into our hands.
Yeah.
We like to play attacking football.
Yeah.
Our defence has been very, very good.
Very, very good.
I don't understand why he played Rewalt off the back of the square when he's just kicked 11 goals the previous week.
I'm lost, to be honest. I think maybe
we'll discuss it more in the Richmond preview.
I was that nervous sitting down because I thought we lose this game, our finals are gone.
Yep.
Which they probably were, and there's still no certainty. But as soon as that happened, I settled down, relaxed. We kicked the first 4 goals, and we were away.
Yep.
And Richmond had absolutely no chance of winning that game.
Yeah.
But what I am sick of
is
people criticising Richmond of how bad they played. No,
GWS.
I'm leading in. Relax.
Right, go on.
He's going somewhere with this.
I am. What really pisses me off. People are more talking about how bad Richmond were than how good we were.
That is a very good point.
Okay, yep.
We were absolutely brilliant, and we stopped Richmond's run. A lot of their ball winners were getting the ball behind the square.
Correct.
Dan Jackson was one of them.
Yep.
I went with my old man, and he said, Dan Jackson's killing us. I said, Dad, he's getting the ball behind the centre. He's not hurting us.
Yeah.
None of their ball winners were hurting us. And that's what made me so comfortable about how we were playing.
Yeah.
Brendan Goddard, I thought he was a very, very deserving winner of the Yayukin Award.
Yeah.
He set up a lot of our play from the midfield centre.
Yeah.
Midfield half-back. Old man Fletcher. He just gets
very good.
I'll be honest. I was watching that game hoping Richmond win. Otherwise, I'd have to eat my own words, which I'm doing now. But when Fletcher kicked that goal, I was up and cheering like every single Essendon fan.
Yeah.
That was just a phenomenal goal, and I love to see him play well. He was dominant. I think he took 13 marks or something ridiculous.
He did.
And every single time, just when you think you've marked it, around comes that arm. No, you haven't. No, you haven't marked it. Exactly. From nowhere. His closing speed for a 39-year-old, unprecedented. I think he was running next to Shane Edwards. He was matching him for pace.
Yeah.
So anyone who says he's past it, I agree with that.
I can tell you right now as well that we'll be going with a smaller forward line. I know
Zach Merritt was pretty juicy.
No rising star, Zach Merritt for round 11. Massive fan of Big Zach. Or Little Zach.
Little Zach.
Little Zach.
He was good too.
But Jake Carlisle moved back into defence
Yep.
on Saturday night.
I loved it.
Was absolutely fantastic.
Exactly.
However, I think he'll go back down forward this week with Hurley coming back.
Coming up against the GWS Giants, who are very, very good against the Hawkers on the weekend. They pushed them right to the death of that game.
Oh,
no Jeremy Cameron this week. Been suspended.
No Jeremy Cameron. But what I want to say about the Giants is Lockie Whitfield.
Yeah.
Anyone who watched this game will be convinced that this kid is an absolute star and he is going big, big places in the future.
Tell me his stats. I didn't.
He had 32 disposals, 5 tackles.
Where does he get these from?
Something like 6 inside 50s. He was sublime. And some of those marks that he took, very courageous midfield. He strikes me a bit...
Excuse me.
Oh, good. He strikes me very much as sort of like a mix between a Fife and a Pendlebury. The reason is because he's got a lot of silk. He uses the ball extremely well, but he's also a hard nut when it comes to marking contests. This kid is an absolute gun. And along with Treloar, Shield and Ward, who had 13 tackles on the weekend.
13 clearances.
Yep, 13 clearances. They've got something brewing, GWS.
I reckon there's a player you owe an apology to, and that's Jonathan Patton, because he was very, very good on the weekend. You gave him a little bit of a roasting.
General Patton, he was all right, wasn't he?
Yeah, but you gave him a little bit of a roasting in the past weeks, saying he's not quite up to scratch.
Okay, well, yes, I do agree that I did give him a bit of a... But I also did say that was also partly due to the Leon Cameron playing him in defence and then forward and then defence again.
Yeah, perhaps,
so it was more a go at Leon Cameron than John Patton. But this week, yeah, he did.
Was
definitely.
it 4 goals 3 or 5 goals 3, was it?
What, yesterday?
4 goals.
Patton? I think it was 4 goals.
Oh, okay.
Kicked 2.
I think he kicked 4. I'm going to check this.
All right.
No,
one thing that I do want to say about Jonathan Patton is that this was an observation made by, I think I'm wrong.
Yeah, you are.
I think it was Terry Danaher or Neil Danaher, one of the Danahers on SEN. He said that he plays very much like an under-18s forward. Stand and deliver. His groundwork is very poor. Yeah. He looks to mark everything.
Apologies.
Yeah. Once he improves that, he'll be a good forward. But that's pretty much what we want to say. Mumford back in form, 47 hit-outs, 6 tackles. Very good game for him. And it wasn't going to be long before Big Mummy opened the can on some whoop tushy. So he's back.
Some whoop tushy.
And we are now segueing into the tips.
We are.
And who are we tipping?
I'm going to say Essendon by 26 points. No Jeremy Cameron. It's a very informed Essendon backline, and I don't think they'll have enough to get past it.
I think Essendon will win. Simple as that. I think it'll be about 20 points. They've proven me wrong. To all the Essendon fans out there, as these guys will tell you, I'm fair game. I'll make some big calls, but then I'll admit it when I'm wrong. And Essendon, they proved me completely wrong. Michael Hibberd really impressed me. Was brilliant off half-back.
I was waiting for that one.
Was brilliant off half-back. Very, very good. Joe Watson, I think I have a man crush on him. But that is yet to be seen. And I think Essendon win by 20 points here.
I was really happy with Ben Howlett's game. One of the most all-round games.
5 or 4?
5 goals.
5 goals.
5 goals. 25 touches. Massive all-round game. One of the best this year, all-round games in the competition. Yep. You'd have to say 5 goals, 25 touches.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But yeah, I think we're in very good form. Probably our best side that we played, minus Hurley, on the weekend. He'll come back in. Who for? I don't know. Because Danaher played fairly well.
He was excellent.
But yeah, I think we'll get it done. Cameron not playing. He's kicked 11 goals in his last 2 games against us. So it's a massive loss for GWS. I think we'll get it done by about 10 goals.
Finally got a tip out of you. Finally.
Yeah, come on.
Give him a chance. It's his team.
I
love him.
I know.
He bleeds red and black, this guy. That's just because his blood
sometimes too much.
Gold Coast versus Sydney, Sunday afternoon, at Metricon Stadium. Last time these two teams played, it was Sydney by 41 points. Guys, probably match of the round coming up here.
I think this is a good game, to be honest. I actually think Gold Coast and Metricon are a good team. Hawthorn whacked them over there. But, Sydney, I will say this, they're an excellent team. They've had good wins, whatever. All right? They managed to get a Hawthorn team, which had half its bloody side in the emergency ward of the hospital. They managed to get a Geelong side that had played quality football for 10 rounds in a row.
Yep.
And, stumbled. Okay, all right, it was in Sydney. It was a good win. I'm not saying anything bad.
3 games in 12 days, I think.
Yes, Geelong did. That's ridiculous. Okay, you can make whatever call you want.
And got Sydney off the bye.
Exactly. So that is something you must consider. Sydney need to have a win, a convincing win against a good side away from Sydney. And this is a perfect opportunity for them to do that. I think they will do that, but I'm just waiting to see it because I want to see if they can actually prove themselves.
You're into dangerous territory here.
I'm going into a very dangerous territory. Don't get me wrong, guys. I'm by no means saying that Sydney's not what they appear to be. They're the real deal. You can take my word on that.
Yep.
But all I'm saying is this is their first opportunity to prove themselves against a good team, not in Sydney. It's true. Go back and look at the fixture. It is. Okay, so this game they must win, and they should.
I've got a bit of a bone to pick. Not so much with you guys, maybe a little bit with Vinay.
Oh,
but mainly,
it's not that man again, is it?
Mainly with fans. It is that man again. It's Lance Franklin. Hey, hear me out. Early on in the season, the entire competition has just gone to town on him, saying, they've wasted the money. Lance Franklin's a flop. Now that he's finally performing, he's finally working well with Tippett and absolutely dominating. Hey, hear me out.
I'm hearing. I'm listening to you.
The fans are saying, Sydney are cheating, the Cola, they're paying their way up the ladder.
The thing is, the Cola's gone.
Now that Lance Franklin is finally doing well. I think it's ridiculous that, they've gone from, paying him out because they reckon he's a flop to now he's in absolutely brilliant form.
He is.
And all of a sudden the cheating argument comes in.
But did I not say that Kurt Tippett coming back would have an influence on his game?
Oh yeah, we agreed on that.
Yes. So he is a gun. No questions asked about that. And he's had 3 good games in a row. I think he's kicked 4 goals, 5 goals and 4.
He's doing the exact same thing that he did last season when he came in late in the season and had a huge impact.
Yeah. And I think he has a very good chance against an undermanned, sort of, inexperienced Gold Coast defence. Taylor Walker kicked 4 on them.
Yeah.
5 on them. So Franklin and Tippett.
I'll tell you one thing though, you bring up that word cheating.
Well, that's what I'm roasting about. Just the fact that they're saying that they're cheating now that Franklin is in good form.
I want to know how it's cheating though.
Well, they're saying that the Cola was brought in to sort of pay the entire team a little bit more because they're in a higher housing price.
That's not cheating though.
No, but the fact that they're giving lots of money to Franklin means that they're not using that money for the right reasons. That is their argument. But they're only bringing that argument up now that he's in good form.
Sydney are only taking advantage of what the AFL's given them.
Yeah, but that's not my point.
That's not cheating.
Yeah, I'm not saying it is. That's not my point.
No, I'm saying the people that saying it are cheating.
Yeah.
It's not cheating.
They're pathetic.
They're taking advantage of what the AFL's given them.
Whether they are or not, it's the timing of bringing this up now that Franklin is in good form.
Right.
That is my point here. Vinay's having fun.
Boys, let us get into the match preview. The Gold Coast. The Gold Coast Suns
we're 2 minutes into it.
The Gold Coast Suns were not that good against Adelaide.
No, they weren't.
Their run was cut up. They did not play Gold Coast brand of football, which is use the wings, come back in the middle, go bang, attack. Yep, they didn't do that.
Is it?
It is.
Is that you going, McKenna?
Gold Coast are they're a very attacking side and they like to use the corridor, it's true. And they had their run taken away from them. Trent McKenzie and Cade Cole-Jasny were shut up. So there goes their run off half-back.
Yeah.
Gary Ablett was good without being great, but that is by Gary Ablett standards.
Yeah.
David Swallow had arguably the best game of his career.
Yes.
37 touches, 2 goals. Unbelievable figures. Kept them in the game. Kicked a goal on the siren at 3/4 time to bring it back to 7 points.
People forget that he was a number 1 draft pick.
He was a number 1 draft pick, and he's showing us why right now.
Yeah.
So that's what they've got at the moment. Their defence was far too poor, though. Adelaide found way too many avenues to go. Eddie Betts, they struggled to contain him. He was absolutely sublime, I thought, and he continues to be worth the paycheck that he's getting.
I'll ask you a serious question. You spoke about this off air.
Mm-hmm.
Sydney have arguably got 2 of the most talented Indigenous players on their list in Aaron Goods and Lance Franklin. Being a person of ethnicity.
Ethnicity, yes.
Ethnicity.
Yes.
How do you feel about the racial abuse?
Okay, good question. It's a very good question. It's a very controversial question. Of course, I'm not Indigenous.
No.
But I do feel I can weigh in on the argument to some extent. Look, I think abuse in any form is unacceptable. Whether that's racial abuse, whether that's homophobic abuse, whether that's sexist abuse, just abuse in general shouldn't be encouraged.
Yeah.
And I think it's when you start to pigeonhole, this is racial abuse, it's not acceptable. This is sexist abuse, it's not acceptable. It starts to blur the lines a little bit, and people tend to think one is more important than another. In my view, all of them are of equal importance.
Yeah.
because we're all human beings. That's the bottom line. Doesn't matter what colour or whatever you are, you're a human being.
Yep.
And so that's what I think is very important. And I think it's interesting that we have, a women's round that goes to breast cancer. We have an Indigenous round. We have a multicultural round.
Yeah.
I think in one way it's very good that the AFL is promoting all these, sort of themes to combat these issues, social problems.
Yeah.
But I also think it's down to every person individually to make that choice and realise that they're all just human beings, I think.
I reckon if you caught, especially probably racial abuse, any type, as you said, any type of abuse, whether it be racial, sexual, origin, whatever, but racial abuse for me is the number one. If you're found racially abusing a player, even if you are a player, a spectator, or whoever you are, you should be banned for life.
Yep.
I don't care if you're a player. I was absolutely livid a couple of years ago when Justin Sherman racially abused Joel Wilkinson, I think it was,
yes,
the Gold Coast Suns. I was adamant that he should have got a life ban because that is not acceptable to racially abuse a current player on the opposition. It's just not acceptable.
Fair call.
Not acceptable.
Well said. Back to this game, guys.
Gold Coast Sydney. Who's going to win it?
Who's going to win it?
Hang on, I've got my sheet from over there.
I'll kick us off. I think Sydney will probably win.
Yep.
They're an excellent side. Very good opportunity. They're back to their best. Sydney by about 20.
I think Sydney are the team to beat this year, guys. 110 points. Injuries or not for Geelong. Whatever you can say about the structure that was changed, I think Sydney, to do that to that side, it was incredible. And I think we're going to see some more scary performances from this season. This week they're going to win by 30 points.
I will say this week, Sydney are the surest thing to come out of this week.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll give Gold Coast a chance, but I think Sydney will win.
No.
Gold Coast could do it.
I give them probably a 0.5 of a chance. Sydney, I just...
Well, they've got a better forward line, better defence.
Flying at the moment.
Yeah.
Flying at the moment. The only way Gold Coast is going to win is Gary has
a massive game.
Massive game.
Correct.
Because the team lifts around him.
Correct.
Sydney by 50.
Vinay?
You did decide. I've already said Sydney.
Fremantle versus Adelaide, Sunday afternoon at Patterson Stadium. Last time these two teams played, it was Fremantle by 22 points. What do we think, guys?
Fremantle was... I didn't see much of the game yesterday.
I did.
Against the Bulldogs.
All of it.
I was keeping up to date with the score, but
it
seemed like a lacklustre game.
It was. Fremantle just got beaten around the stoppages, which is understandable given the quality that Western Bulldogs have at those stoppages. But, I thought they managed to keep Nathan Fyfe. It's his worst game of the year by far.
Yep.
By far. He struggled to get any of the ball. He was thrown down forward and just couldn't get a kick either there.
I did hear a rumour that he was struggling a little bit with the flu.
He was. It wasn't just flu. I think he was limping as well.
Yep.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he missed this week. Apparently he was playing, but he was struggling a lot. He was limping around. So Fremantle just weren't all there. They were playing, but they were just a bit half-half. But they got the job done. Yep. That's all that matters at the end of the day. Adelaide, on the other hand, had a very good game. We all tipped the Gold Coast Suns.
We did.
And they proved us wrong. The roller coaster side, as you like to call them, Josh, were very good. And I think the fact that it's at Patterson's could probably tip this
Everyone's listening to Josh.
Purple Hazes' favour.
Okay. Interesting game, this one.
Yeah.
I don't give Adelaide no chance in this game.
Okay.
I think they are a small chance.
Yep.
Small chance.
I'd agree with you there.
How good was Matty Yench?
Yeah, very
29
good again.
disposals.
Very good again. Rory Sloane was fantastic as well.
Beautiful.
The big Texan. I'm one of his biggest fans.
You love him. You love the Texan.
I love the way he plays his footy. He's had a few frustrating games since coming back from his knee injury. But to kick 5, be the game winner, be the difference.
Big call.
Yeah.
I just loved it. He shaved off the mo, he shaved off the mullet.
And he shaved off the bad form.
He shaved... Hey!
Vinay's on fire tonight.
I love the way the big Texan goes about it. Fremantle. Aaron Sandilands is in good form.
He's always been
in good form all season.
All season.
Yeah.
Probably just marginally in front of Sam Jacobs for the All-Australian. Comes up against Sam Jacobs this week, if Sam Jacobs decides to play. He got a knock.
He's in a bit of pain,
he got a knock against the Gold Coast Suns on Sunday. So that'll be interesting if he does come up.
Yep.
But not much else to take out of this game, really. I think it'll be a tough, tight battle. But as I said, I don't give Adelaide no chance in this game. I think they're
fair call.
A good chance. But Fremantle at home, just too strong, I think.
Who are we tipping, boys?
Just before getting into the tips, I thought Talia was brilliant for Adelaide.
Yes, won the unsung nomination.
He did, and people reminded us a lot that he was stiff to miss out in the team.
So if you think he goes unnoticed, here's the notice.
We've noticed.
We have noticed.
He was in the squad.
Yeah,
he was in the squad.
He was considered.
He was considered.
He was.
We didn't just completely overlook him.
He's a very good player, and he will get the big job on Matthew Pavlich this week.
Pavlich?
Pavlich, I'm just trying to be creative. Who are we tipping now, Liz?
Fremantle by 23. Let's be quick.
Fremantle by 37.
Fremantle by about 40.
Yep. North Melbourne versus Richmond Sunday night at Etihad Stadium. Last time those two teams played, it was North by 62 points. What do we think, guys?
Now I'll go back to Damien Hardwick.
Oh.
Do we have time for this?
Yes,
no,
we do.
We don't.
Yes, we do.
But he's going to do it anyway, no matter what we say. So I'm just going to go on Facebook for a couple
No,
of
you're
minutes.
not. Find out.
Go ahead, Tim Hardy.
Come on.
Seriously, what is he thinking?
I'm not too sure, but I can tell you what, he has got the board of directors breathing down his neck, I'd say.
He'd have to.
He's got one of the most... Well, a lot of people harp on that Richmond have an awful list.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true.
Yeah.
I don't think they have an awful list. I think they've got a sub kind of average list, but it's not a terrible list. You know, Cochin's still young, Delidio's still playing pretty well. Matt Thomas has been a good pickup in the off-season.
Yeah.
Brandon Ellis, Steve Morris, Reece Conker, Jack Riewoldt, Ty Vickery's not that bad. People talk about him like he's the worst draft pick in history, but he's proven himself sometimes.
Yeah.
So
I just don't understand what he was doing playing Riewoldt off the back of the square in the first.
yeah, coaches do things sometimes that make us shake our heads. Justin Lepich does it every week. To them, it's justified, though, Josh.
He played it straight into our hands. I mean,
He did.
loved him as a footballer at Essendon. Unfortunately, left to Port Adelaide with another flag. But anyway, but some of his coaching moves just driving me up the wall lately.
It's just baffling how good we thought this Richmond side would be and how terrible
You had him in the
they've
top
been.
4.
I had him in the top 4. Well, most people did.
Did you have them in the top 4?
Yeah.
I would say most people did have them in the top 4 at the start of
You
this
did.
year. You guys had them 5th and 6th, I believe.
I think I had him 6th, yeah.
Yeah.
We all had Port Adelaide outside the 8.
That was a bit silly. Anyway, we'll get to that at the end of the season. But Richmond, they've just been so disappointing. And I don't know if you can put this down to the coach in Hardwick or the players just not being up to scratch, but all of it is just going wrong for them. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely.
North Melbourne, Richmond
Okay, you take over.
will be one of the most difficult to tip games. And I know you told, we had a chat before the game and he said North wins all the time against Richmond.
Not all the time. I just said of recent times I've had the water over.
Yeah, but the reason I'm saying is because North, you have no idea what they're going to bring to the table. They could play like an absolute bunch of finless fish. Yeah. Or they could rock up and destroy the Tigers by 100. You have no idea what they're going to do on
Just
Sunday.
quietly, that's another North Melbourne tip I got wrong on the week.
There you go. That reflects. And
One I
Richmond...
got right. Yeah.
And Richmond... Here's something that Josh pointed out, which is very true. I said Richmond are going to be seething. They've got something big to play for. And he said to me, they also had something big to play for during the Tom Hafey round.
Yeah.
And they failed. It's a very, very good point. So I don't think sentiment's going to drive them up the wall. Although Jack Riewoldt was crying after the game. Don't know if you guys missed that.
Was it?
Yep, he was. Trent Cochin called all the players into a huddle immediately after the game. Hardwick didn't come down. And Cochin looked really distressed. He was talking to the players and he asked Jack for something. Jack was tearing up. He was just, really emotional, really upset. So you never know what's going to come out of Tigerland. And North are the kind of team that could get one-upped. They could have their pants pulled down.
It was Hardwick, giving them the pat on the back.
Hardwick was upstairs, sitting like this.
He was looking through the classifieds for a new job.
North
He might need
Melbourne
one
boys.
if he might need one if they lose this week.
North Melbourne, last night against your boys, Vinay. There's
Very good.
3 players I pinpointed out that I thought were very, very good.
Let me guess them. Ben Cunnington,
1,
Nick Dalsano,
2,
and
Levi Greenwood.
Levi Greenwood.
No, he was pretty good. Yep.
Levi Greenwood. I think Levi's been very, very good the last month. It took his time to get into the side, but he's been very, very good. Nick Del Santo probably had his best game for the club. He had 33 disposals.
8 rebound 50s, 7 rebound 50s.
Cunnington had a brilliant start to the year, had a bit of a lull month, and now he's picking it back up again. He had 34, won a mountain of clearances, was absolutely fantastic. Majak Dor, I think, needs a spell. I'm a big fan of Majak. I think he can be something special. However, he just looks a bit slow, laconic. Looks a bit of a liability.
He does. There. Comparing him and Nick Nat, I remember the ball was out, kicked out, and there was a foot race to it. Nic, Nat, Majak, Dor, similar proportions. Both very tall, both extremely bulky. But Nic, Nat outran him by so much, it was ridiculous. So I think you're right, he's a bit lacking.
He looks knackered.
He does. He doesn't look to be able to match the fitness required by AFL standards. So he might need a bit of a stint.
Bit of a spell. Who are you tipping?
I'm going to tip North Melbourne by 35 points. Because of my form tipping North Melbourne, I've got absolutely no idea if I'm anywhere near the money, but that's my tip.
So I'm going Richmond.
You going? No?
I'm going North Melbourne by 42.
Yeah, look, I'll go North. Right, whatever. I'll go North. 20 points.
Right.
Okay, Melbourne versus Collingwood Monday afternoon at the MCG.
Absolute thrill. The Queen's birthday.
Got to race through this one because we're going way over
Happy
time.
birthday, Queenie.
Last time these two teams played, it was Collingwood by 83 points, if you don't mind. Guys, Melbourne, they really took it up to get to Port Adelaide.
They certainly did. They were absolutely fantastic. Port Adelaide kicked the first 4 goals. I was out at Punt Road watching the VFL. Watching that game on the phone, and I thought, oh gee, how much is this going to end up by? Melbourne having one of their bad days, Port Adelaide having one of their good ones, and all of a sudden Melbourne are in front. Dom Tyson kicks a goal, and they're in front. I'm thinking, surely not.
Dom Tyson was absolutely brilliant.
30 disposals,
9 marks,
10 contested,
7 clearances,
2 goals, he had 5 tackles,
70% disposal efficiency. He was absolutely superb. Nathan Jones again was absolutely fantastic.
As he has been almost every week this year.
One player who's copped a lot of flack in his career.
Jack Watts?
No.
Not Jack Watts.
Not Jack Watts.
Okay.
But he's been absolutely fantastic this year.
Jack Watts.
I actually had him in the team round to start with, but took him out.
Okay.
You're going to tell me how?
Lyndon Dunn.
He hasn't got that much flack, has he?
Over his career. Yes.
Okay.
Right. Over his career. He's got a lot of
Well, he's got that new halfback role.
And he shaved that ridiculous mow off.
He has.
That porn star mow. It's just gone, which is fantastic to hear.
He's playing a very, very good role off halfback.
He is. He's been absolutely fantastic.
And we know Paul Roos likes to do this.
Paul Roos, they've got to pay him as much as he wants to keep him at that football club.
To me, it looks like Melbourne are playing a very counter kind of game style, in the sense that they're countering the game style of the teams they come up against. Port Adelaide were very annoyed that they could not use the corridor. You could see it.
Yep.
Every now and then they tried going back in, bang, extra Melbourne defender in there, turnover.
Yep.
And at one stage, Hinkley started, and the message was probably stop using the corridor. So, Collingwood do tend to use I think they use the boundary side more than the corridor.
They used the boundary when Malthouse was there.
When was there,
They seem to still use a
have
little
a good
bit,
mix,
a good mix, yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how they go.
Speaking of Collingwood, still side bottom goal for 3 weeks.
Whoops.
For that hit on Maverick Weller. One of the
Fastest reports. 7 seconds.
7 seconds. The only one I think that was quicker was Brodie Holland on Brett Montgomery in the 2006 elimination final.
Isn't that a blast from the past?
But he's not playing this week, so back on to Collingwood.
He did play for Collingwood at the time.
Jeez, Nicholas.
Anyway, he does. He likes to push us along. We're that far over time. So
That's why he's
we might as well just keep going.
Yeah.
Mind you, he's the one that has to do the editing. So
Anyway.
Sorry, Nick. Yep.
Clinton Young, speaking of... What?
I really dislike Clinton Young.
Oh, really?
Really, he does not have a right foot. Everyone in the stadium knows that he does not have a right
Neither does
foot.
Grant Birchall.
All right, continue. Point
Dustin
taken.
Fletcher doesn't have a left foot.
Point taken.
Most footballers don't use their...
Opposite foot. No, but they know how to. Clinton Young, I reckon I can kick off my left foot better than he can kick off his right foot. That's how awful
I
his
doubt
right
that
foot is.
very, very highly considering he's a left footer.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I could
He
kick
said
better
no.
off my opposite foot than he could kick off his
Okay.
opposite.
Yeah.
But getting back to this, yes.
Anyway, I
had a good game.
I thought he had his best game for Collingwood.
Yep.
On the weekend, 26 disposals.
Shoe in to be
drive.
tagged. Shoe in. And the reason I say that is because Paul Roos, go back through the opposition.
Ahead of Swan, ahead of Pendlebury.
Paul Roos has always placed a token tagger on the outside midfielder every week. All right, against the Western Bulldogs, he had someone tagging Griffin, but he had Daniel Cross tag Jackson McRae, the outside midfielder. This week against Port Adelaide, he had someone go to Kane Corns, but he also had Daniel Cross take Jared Polak.
Okay.
So he does it every single week. He loves to cut that outside run. Put your house on it. Clinton Young will get tagged.
Very quickly, Travis Cloak returned to form in brilliant fashion. Was it 5 goals he kicked?
Yes.
5 goals.
Travis.
I'd like to see him do it again this week.
Yep.
He'll win the Coleman.
And they got around. He won't win the Coleman. Vinay tipped him for the
He
Coleman.
will win the Coleman. No, he won't win the Coleman.
Anyway, and didn't they get around him after every one of those goals?
They did.
They
got
did.
around him, they got
It was
on top
good
of
to
him,
see.
underneath him. Sorry, I didn't mean that one.
Nick Maxwell's gone for 3 weeks with a calf.
Poor guy.
That's a bigger loss than most people would probably assume.
Yeah,
he's been very, very good this year. With the outer steel side bottom as well. And also Patrick Karnesis did his hamstring at training.
And he was looking good in the
He was looking good as well.
The
really like Josh Thomas's game as well. 3 goals, 29 disposals. He was fantastic.
Up and coming mid.
Taylor Adams is starting to get some games under his belt at Collingwood as well. He was always going to take time.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nick. Turn your phone off. That's horrible by you.
Continue.
Horrible by you. That's a fine.
It is.
He shouts dinner next week.
I like the sound of that.
But anyway, boys, this is Melbourne's grand final to play on this day.
The Queen's birthday.
Almost
clash.
this is probably the biggest crowd they'll ever get.
Oh, yeah, it always is.
You'd think so.
In recent years, where they've struggled a bit, this has been their grand final. This is the game they've always looked to get up for. Okay, last time they played, they lost by 83 points. Yep. However, they do everything they can to get up for this game.
Yep.
And under Paul Roos, I think they will challenge Collingwood.
They will. They'll challenge Port Adelaide. You know, they're one of the best teams, so they will definitely challenge.
But I think Collingwood will have too much experience.
Fair enough.
Having said that, who are we going to tip?
I reckon I might go. Nah, I'm kidding. I'm definitely kidding. I'm going to go Collingwood. I think they'll get the job done. About 30 points, boys.
20, Collingwood.
I'm going to go Collingwood by 35 points, and that brings us to the end of another show Beyond the Boundary.
Bang! It certainly does. I hope you enjoy editing that hour show that was meant to be about 35 minutes, but anyway.
We got there in the end.
We did. Follow us on Twitter, at Guys and N, at JK1981, at VK Lax. Subscribe here, BTB AFL at live.
Is it up over here, up over his head, or is it?
It's right here, and he goes like this everywhere.
I've done it this! What are you doing?
Anyway, I'll tell you what, if you hit that like button,
Oh no.
If you hit that like button, Richmond will give you a 2-year deal. I promise. They could really use the cattle right now. You help us out, they will help you out, you'll help them out. Everyone, it's just one hand washes the other. It's brilliant.
I'll tell you what, boys, one thing we did forget to mention, just quickly, St Kilda.
Yes.
Appointing the first female
Peter Searle
into the AFL coaching ranks. Massive step forward.
Very, very good.
Massive
I
step
love
forward.
That. Very good.
I saw a comment today that we need to start appointing the best coaches. You don't necessarily have to play senior AFL.
Well, you're definitely correct. I mean, it's alarming the number of, white male coaches that we get. From recent memory, I can't remember any other, coach. So, it's great to see this step forward. Great. Yeah. She's an extremely experienced coach.
Wealth of knowledge.
Oh, won premierships.
Very talented footballer too.
Definitely. So, I reckon they're very, very, be very proud and very lucky to have her.
Who are you thinking, Vinay?
I am going to thank Valiant.
Oh, the suspense.
Wait for it. Valiant, yep, they provide us great support and we love being partnered with them.
I'm going to thank our producer, Justin Westhoff. He provides great support and we love having him.
Westhoff!
Anyway.
Alright, boys. Thanks for joining me again.
No worries.
Good luck to your Eagles against the Hawks. You got to need it.
Press the like button. The Tigers have great facilities. You'll love the club. They'll put you at half back. They'll put you in the forward pocket.
They'll put you wherever you want.
They need you.
Good luck to your boys on Friday night against the Blues.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us, boys. We will see you next week.